Okay, we are live. I'm not sure. I kind of posted about this on the community, but for some reason the chat is just not showing up. I'm getting the YouTube error, so I can't actually see chat, which is really frustrating. Um, so I'm kind of gonna do this without you guys' input, which is hard to do. But yeah, we're gonna have to try and do that. Um, it's probably not going to be a long one. I'm going to be going back to doing my 7 points as I usually do. Last time was a whirly gig of of me just talking about everyone, but yeah, we'll get into this in a little bit. Where, man, there's got to be a way for me to. There's got to be a way for me to fix this. I'm just getting the little YouTube error monkey. So I'm not really sure what to do in that regard. Hang on, maybe I can get my stream up on my mobile. I'm not sure. We'll see. Technical difficulties, of course. It couldn't be a live stream without one. Sorry about this. Let me just try and YouTube is having a mare. I'm not really sure what's going on. It says that I'm live. Will my chat show up? That's the question. There we go. Okay, cool. The chat is... I can get the chat up on my mobile, so I can briefly look at it. But, yes. Christ, sorry about that. I'm going to try and move my stuff around. There we go. Because I usually have my chat up on my second monitor, so, like, having it down, like... down in front of me on my desk is a bit weird, but there we go. We'll have to get used to it. Okay, anyway. God, wouldn't be a stream without that. Let's hit the intro, and then we can talk about this game. Obviously, I'm not going to be too positive. I'm not going to be too negative either. I've kind of mentioned in the past I don't really take much from preseason games, so I'm not going to be reactionary like you guys probably hoping for. But there we go. Let me just hit the intro. Lads, lasses, and the rest of the masses, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mono from Mono CFC, and welcome to Season 2 of Feeling Blue. Let's go. Alright, cool. So, welcome back to Feeling Blue. Obviously, I'm going to be taking my lovely lucky 7 things and putting them into the boxes as usual. As I said, I'm not going to be rambling on too much. Because this, again, there's not much to take from this game. There's not much to take from any preseason game in all honesty, but I do want to talk about some certain players that stood out to me, and then kind of just talk about, yeah, just some of the things that happened in the game, really. So let's start. Obviously, I always like to start on a positive. We'll go from the goods to the mediums to the bads, and then go back to the goods and finish off, and then we'll obviously run the poll for the true blue. If I can, I don't know if I can do that actually, because my chat's not working, so I'll figure out how to do that, I suppose. But there we go. First player that's going into the good box, someone has just mentioned him there, and you guys probably know that this is coming. It's going to be Christopher Nkunku. Not only because he got the goal from the penalty, but just in general, I think his overall play was he was one of the better players in the side. I think he was linking up very well on that left-hand side with Mudryk and with Guiu when they were allowed to. For some reason, we kept going down the right-hand side, which I'm not really sure why, because that right-hand side is not very good, but there we go. Yeah, so I think Nkunku, his link-up play, and obviously him getting the goal, he's always going to get into the good box. I briefly mentioned him there, so I'll actually kind of include him in this. The next player that's going in this box is going to be Mark Guiu, if my thing would stop lagging. Come on. There we go. I don't know what it is with Microsoft Whiteboard. It always does that really weird lagging thing. Yeah, I'm going to be putting Mark Guiu in here. Again, another very good shift for him. Another very driven performance, another very committed performance, I would say. Unlucky for him to not get another goal. He should have been getting a goal in the first game, and he should have got a goal in this one too. And I think that for the most part we kind of see that every single time Guiu gets on the ball or is involved in the play, we do better than if he's not involved. Obviously, as a right-footed player, he's always going to tailor off and go into the left channel rather than the right channel. And again, we kept playing it to the right channel, so he wasn't getting involved very much. And obviously, any time the ball went down the left-hand side and he was able to drop deep into the midfield, supplement that midfield, and then pop it to another player, we could actually play out and create opportunities. Now, I think that he's got a lot to give in a Chelsea shirt, and I'm very glad that he has been given the opportunity to play from the start multiple times now, because I think he's going to start showing why we signed him. And obviously he's only 18. He's only going to get better from here. He's going to be obviously under the tutelage of Nicholas Jackson whenever he comes back from his ankle injury. I don't think Broja is going to be playing many, if any, more games for us at this point, considering how poor he was. And yeah, I think that for the most part, like, I'm not going to overhype him too much, but because obviously Nicholas Jackson is going to be our starting striker if we do not bring anyone else in. I think that Guiu and Nico could also play in tandem if we wanted to. Obviously, Nico can play off the left wing. He could definitely play there. Now, speaking of wingers, that is what's going to be the one sole point in this medium box, and it's the connection between our wing. It's just the combination of our wingers in general. I'm going to be putting Madueke and Sterling in here. I'm not going to be putting Mudryk in here because obviously it was his first 45 minutes. And again, we never really went down the left-hand side when he was on the pitch, so I'm not going to give a much of assessment on Mudryk. I think Mudryk actually had a pretty decent game when he did get the chance. These two are going in the medium box because I think that the way I can sum up their game was that they were very, very good up until the final third. And I think that this is the issue that we have, is that this system that we're playing under Enzo Maresca is very, very winger heavy. It's very, very dependent on our wingers being good 1v1, as I've discussed in the past in multiple of my tactical breakdowns of this system. And playing in this system, obviously Madueke really, really got the better of his man multiple occasions, but the final ball is just not there. The final ball is not there, and it's frustrating because it feels to me like we would do better if we actually, honestly, if we swapped the players around. If we played Sterling on the right wing and played Madueke on the left wing, so he could be on his natural foot to cross the ball in, I think he would do much better, because honestly, we see that Madueke is so one-footed that he's basically a really easy to read. And even if he does get the better of his man, we know what he wants to do. We know that he wants to come inside onto his left foot, and he doesn't mix it up enough. And when he does get it onto that right foot, we see what we saw in this game, and that his delivery into the box was just not there. We got so many corners, so many corners in this game, just because Madueke can't get the ball past his man. And I'm not going to rag on him too much, because obviously he has to get into those positions first for him to be able to do that, and I think he did that very well. Likewise with Sterling, I think Sterling was actually quite bright when he came on, and again, linking up down that left-hand side with Nkunku, I think he was actually pretty good. If I was to give an assessment, I would say that Sterling was a little bit better than Madueke, but again, his final ball was not there. Another situation where he put the ball onto his put the ball into the box from his left side, and obviously he's not a left-footed player and his weak foot isn't the greatest, so he wasn't really accurate. In fact, I'm actually going to put Sterling more over to the left-hand side because I think that he was better and he's closer to the good box than Madueke was. But yeah, it's frustrating, and sometimes you're going to have these games where your players are just not going to produce in the final third. So, hopefully we can get that behind us. As I said, for the grand scheme of pre-season, I don't put too much stock into pre-season results. If we think about what happened last pre-season, we absolutely battered most of the teams that we played because we were much fitter than them, and then we went into the season and for 20 weeks were 10th or below. So I'm not going to put too much stock into how good pre-season games are. Obviously, again, under Antonio Conte, for example, we had a pretty poor pre-season under Antonio Conte, and then we won the league. Likewise with Enzo Maresca, his focus in his training so far is very obviously been tactical and not very fitness based, and obviously we're going to take a bit of a while to get up to full fitness. And I did say in my preview that I think that Celtic were going to be a very hard team to beat, because obviously they are playing this game against us was their final game of preseason. They are so much more prepared than we were, and it showed. It really showed, because the majority of the time it wasn't a matter of tactics being bad, it was a matter of us just not being fit enough to play them. Obviously we played a very high line, and I'll move on to the bad box here and talk about the defence as a whole. I'm not going to single out anyone, I'm going to talk about defenders as a whole. Our defence as a whole, at playing this really high line, we were not fit enough to be able to make the runs behind when the balls got played in behind, and obviously Celtic have a lot of pace on their wings and in their forward players in general, and we just couldn't keep up with them. To be quite honest, they were just much fitter. They had much more preparation, obviously, for this game. They knew what they were doing, and we kind of didn't, and it kind of showed. And obviously, we saw that the ideas offensively were there, because obviously if we actually look at the stats, we did do the majority of the chance creation in this game. They were just a bit more clinical, and we gave them the better of the chances. But yeah, so as I said, I don't put too much stock into, this is our second preseason game. Like, I'm not going to put too much stock into the result. I like talking about performances, and let's talk about the performance of one man in particular who is going to be in this bad box, because this was a game where he really needed to step up and show how good he could be, and I don't think he really did that, and that's Robert Sanchez. Now, obviously, we have confirmed this. We've confirmed today that we are signing Filip Jorgensen from Villarreal, and obviously he is a very good ball-playing goalkeeper rather, and Sanchez in this game were just not good with his feet at all. And I think genuinely a few of our goals that we conceded today, we wouldn't have conceded if Sanchez was not on the pitch. But again, I do have to give him some credit, because he did make some good saves, but that's not why he's here, which sounds really silly for a goalkeeper to not be in goal to make saves, but that's not the reason why he specifically is in this team. If we wanted a good shot stopper, we would be playing Georgi Petrovic. We would be playing someone else in goal if we wanted a shot stopper. What we want in this system is a goalkeeper that can distribute the ball and can distribute the ball short. And the reason why this frustrates me, the reason why this frustrates me the most is that we know from the way that Enzo Maresca has utilised Mads Hermansen at Leicester City that he does not like it when the goalkeeper plays the ball long. He specifically says, take the risky pass. I would rather you risk the short pass than launch it long. And Sanchez just never got that memo in this game. He was constantly playing it long, constantly playing it off the pitch, and we couldn't really get out from the pressure when Celtic put the pressure on us. And obviously we are going to have to go through the rough patches, and we're going to have to go through the growing pains of playing the system, because let's be honest, I don't think the majority of the players in this team have had enough coaching in recent times, obviously playing under Pochettino, to be able to play a possession-based system. We haven't played that way. All of our preparation for last season was just running. And obviously we've had some players in the system today that are playing their first minutes, obviously Mudryk being one of them, Renato Vega being another. I'm not going to put too much stock into the performances in that way, but we know that the reason why Sanchez is in this team is for his distribution, and if he's not going to be good at distributing the ball, he really needs to pick up, because Jorgensen is going to come into this team and he's going to take his spot, and that's on him. If he gets his he gets his chain yanked again by another goalkeeper, we'll understand why. I'm not going to rag on too much. Again, I want to talk about some more positives. I'm going to go back into the good box, and the next player I'm going to be putting in here is going to be Romeo Lavia once again. I think Romeo Lavia is showing that he is mature enough to play in the system, and the way that he again is, he's a player that can really help us get out of the pressure that teams play against us. Obviously Celtic, again, really high pressure in this game, and he was doing well to kind of alleviate that in a way, playing with James. I think that in the second half he did get a bit leggy, and obviously he had to get taken off, and Ugachukwu came on, and honestly I think Ugachukwu did quite well as well, considering he was playing the more box-to-box role in that midfield, and I feel like again, I want to keep preferencing this, that I don't want to be reactionary. I employ everyone in my chat and in this community in general to not be reactionary, because you need to remember we are missing so many of our good players, like, that are going to be first team starters. A lot of the players that are playing aren't going to be first team starters, and the thing which is good about this is that we are showing here with Lavia that he can be a first team starter, and that's one thing which we kind of want to see from these pre-seasons, is that the outside players that aren't probably going to be playing, we want to see how well they do. Obviously, we've kind of spoken in the past about Nkunku playing that kind of inside 8 role. Obviously, he's going to 100% be replaced by Kieran Dewsbury-Hall. We know that. He's not going to play in that left side role. He's probably more going to end up as a forward, I would imagine. That's how I would play him anyway. But yeah, so I said, and it's just one of those things where I think Lavia, obviously coming off of such a long injury layoff, for him to come back and to look so good is really, really promising, and it's good to see him kind of mold into that role, because we are going to need multiple different players that can play in that position, because obviously we saw last year that we had so many injury issues, and if we don't have the players to kind of back up in that role, then we're going to get run over like we did today. Hang on, let me just look a bit of the chat. Again, I don't think so. I'm saying it. I don't think that anything is wrong, right? Again, people are going to look at the scoreline. They're going to say, "Oh, it's a 4-1 loss," and they're going to get up in arms and be like, "Oh, Maresca's not good enough," and all that shit. I'm not going to be like that. I'm objective. I look at things objectively. I'm not going to put stock into a preseason performance. Again, we've seen how good we were in preseason last year, and then we stunk up the league for 20 weeks. Preseason doesn't matter. It genuinely doesn't matter. The only thing that preseason is for, really, is for fitness, is for getting players up to speed, and to kind of implementing your ideas. I want to say that I did think that Maresca should possibly have told us to sit a little bit deeper in the second half, and I think that we did improve. We did improve in the second half, and part of that was due to the next man that I want to put in here, and the final point I'm going to put in here, the seventh point that I'm going to be putting in here, and that's Tosin Adarabioyo. Now, when this man came on, we looked so much more comfortable until like the last 15 minutes of the game, where we kind of lost our heads a bit and conceded 2 goals. Adarabioyo was really, really good in this game, and I think that he, as a leader, as a player that can step onto the pitch and kind of, what's the word? A guy who can kind of calm everyone down, because we saw that we were very erratic. We saw that we were not playing the way that we know we can play, and we weren't as calm as we needed to be. Obviously, again, Celtic are always going to pressure us. We knew that they were going to pressure us. When you have that situation, we need to kind of be able to have someone that can grab all the other players and be like, okay, right, no, let's chill a bit. And I did think that him coming on also made Badiashile look a bit better, until obviously Badiashile passes the ball to one of their players. Again, I don't think that's too much on Badiashile. I think that's more of a Sanchez error, let's be real. But there we go, he did do that, I will say that. I'm not going to deny that he did it. He definitely did pass it straight to them. But I do think that when he came on, Adarabioyo kind of settled us, and obviously for the first half an hour of the second half we were very, very good. And again, it was just a matter of us not taking our chances. We didn't really make any inroads when we got to the final ball, and that's pretty much how we can kind of take this game, really. And I think that's a good way to sum up the game in general, is that if you look at the actual statistics of the game, if we just took our chances, this wouldn't have looked as bad, and people wouldn't be making as much of a deal about it as they have been. And again, we've got 4 more games in preseason. The fitness is going to get better. We're going to play more sharp. We're going to be playing more senior players when they eventually come back. Obviously, I think that it's been reported today that our players that are coming back from the Euros won't be joining the preseason squad, which is a bit weird. I'm not sure if that's actually confirmed or not. That's very, very odd if that is the case. Well, I do think we need to see how this team would play with, for example, Palmer in it, with Conor Gallagher, if he's going to be a mainstay of this team. We don't know yet. With obviously Cucurella, because obviously Cucurella can invert and things like that. We don't have a lot of Enzo's coming back. Enzo is definitely coming back. That's one which we have confirmed because he's coming back on the 29th. We got that from the press conference the other day, but I'm not sure if the others are. We kind of, which is weird. I don't know why, but it might just be the English players. Not sure. Maybe that's just weird, weird reporting, and eventually they will link up on the same day, possibly. Someone's just said it there. I genuinely hope that Angelo does get more minutes because, again, I've been very, very open about the fact that I do like Madueke, and I feel like he was going to be a big winner in this system. But if he's not going to be producing the final ball, then I do not think that he needs to be in the team, and I think that we can look for other options. Obviously, Palmer can play on the wing if we need him to play on the wing. I think his position in this system is going to be a bit more central, if I'm being honest, but he can play on the wing. Angelo can definitely play there. I just hope that he doesn't really... kind of just get cast away immediately, and it's just like, oh well, you're going on loan next season, so we don't care, because that's kind of what happened last year. So I do hope they will actually give him a chance to kind of impress there. Again, I hope that Mudryk, I haven't actually put Mudryk here, but I hope Mudryk gets more chances to play on the left, because it's really frustrating, because when he did get the ball, he was very, very good, Mudryk, and he just never really got the ball, and that seems to happen quite a lot in this team. I feel like the team around him don't like passing to him for some reason, which is a bit weird. Obviously, we have other wingers in the team, like George, like Kellyman when he comes in. Obviously, Kellyman can play in multiple different positions, but he can play on the right wing as well. And I just want to say that this is the first two games. I'm personally not going to take too much from it. If we have this if we have this kind of level of performance against Inter 1 week away from the season starting, then I think it's cause for us to worry. This early on, I'm not going to put too much. The things we can take positives from is that we've seen that some of the tactical things that Enzo wants to implement are working. We've seen that he is putting that style there. Other things, for example, like the defense, weren't working as well, but that's just going to improve. We've got four more games. That's all I'm going to say. We've got 4 more games. If we don't improve by the end of 4 games, then we can kind of go, all right, something's happening, something bad's happening. But until then, I'm not going to put too much stock into it. And I think that we as a fan base need to stop being little whiny baby brats, if I'm being honest, because that's kind of all I see from our Twitter is our Twitter and our internet fan base, should I say, is a lot of people kind of throwing the toys out of the pram too early and then kind of having to go back on themselves. And yeah, again, I'm not going to put too much stock into this, but that's where I'm going to end it. So let's run the poll if I can. I'm not sure how to run the poll from mobile, so we'll see if that's a thing. Can I run a poll from mobile? I don't think I can. Well, that's okay. Instead, because I can't run the poll, I'm just going to say, everyone in chat, just spam in chat who you think was the true blue for this game, and I'll kind of just see whose name pops up the most. Because the poll, again, I'm really not sure what. I'm not sure what's going on with YouTube today, but I've just got the little monkey with a wrench. It's just saying something went wrong, and it won't open my stream chat. So there we go. I'll just let you guys do that, and whilst you're doing that, I'll take a sip of my coffee. It's a lot for Giyu. A lot of people are saying Giyu. I personally would agree with that. So I think I'm going to put him there. He got it last time as well, by the way. Also, I should mention, I didn't mention this before. I haven't updated the graphics in the Feeling Blue yet. Obviously, you saw from the match preview, I had done that. I had changed them. I haven't done it in this yet because it doesn't automatically change it in the whiteboard for some reason. So I'll have to fix that. Let's put Giyu up here. I think we can mostly agree that he was our best player. Do I think that... You know what? I think that's a very good question. Whether Giyu is ready for Premier League minutes. I definitely think that he could be. We've seen that he's got the aptitude to kind of... I think the main thing, right? The one thing which I want to say about him is I'm a person that thinks that if you're not going to be scoring as a striker and if you're not going to be playing too many minutes, I think the best thing you can do as a player that's not going to get too many minutes is to throw yourself around and to be a nuisance and to be annoying to the opposition. And I think that's exactly what he has been doing, and he's very much he's worked hard, and I think again, it's the word I like to use for him is aptitude. He very much has the kind of drive to prove a point in a way. Like, he wants to, and this is, you need to remember, like, he's 18. He's barely ever played first team football, and for him to come into such a big club like Chelsea and to be leading the line as a striker, I think it's a pretty good sign for him. And if he keeps this up in pre-season, I genuinely think there is a spot for him. And obviously it doesn't look like at the moment that we will be signing a new striker. I don't think that's one of our priorities as a club, so I think that he will be the backup for Nicholas Jackson or Nkunku, whichever one is our starting striker. I don't think that he would be our starting striker. I think that'd be a bit too much to expect from him. But yeah, as I said, so my main kind of takeaway here, I think that on another day, this is one of those games where on another day, I think that we could have gotten a lot more goals from this game. We could have made the scoreline look a bit more flattering. It didn't end up that way, and I think that we just have to go next. You can take the games game by game in football, and that's what we have to do. But yes, thank you guys for hanging out as ever. I will be... When is the next game? We play Club America, I'm pretty sure. Let me check when the next game is, because I am terrible at remembering, even though I have it in my calendar, but it's behind me, so I can't actually check. Our next game is on the Thursday. It's actually a midnight midnight kickoff on a Thursday morning, which is horrific. So the match preview for that should be out on Wednesday. So look forward to the lead-in on Wednesday. That will be when it comes out. There may be videos in between, I'm not sure. Obviously, I've kind of hinted that I'll be doing other projects between now and then, so that's a thing which I will be doing at the same time, so I might be a bit busy, but for the most part I will be hanging around on Twitter. As always, if you don't follow me on Twitter, links are in my socials. I think it's in the description, I'm not sure, it should be, hopefully. So follow me there. That's the majority of the time where I put my kind of day-to-day updates rather than doing it on the community, or I just do it on the community post, either way. But yeah, I'll let you guys know. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, have a good evening, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. Ta-ra. And that was just my Feeling Blue match review for this game. I hope to see you here for the next one. But if you can't wait until then, YouTube reckons you'll enjoy one of these two videos on screen in the meantime. Thank you guys so much for watching as ever, and remember, in the rain or in the dry, keep that blue flag flying high. Come on, you Blues.